Have you ever heard that women on ships bring bad luck? For centuries, they were strictly forbidden from stepping on board. But that didn't stop some from defying the rules. In disguise, armed, or recording their stories in secret, women were present in the ports, along the trade routes, hidden in the shadows, and sometimes even commanding their own ships. Today, you're about to uncover 7 surprising truths about women during the Age of Exploration. Fact 1. Sailors believed women brought misfortune at sea. For hundreds of years, mariners claimed that a woman's presence on board caused jealousy, conflict, and even storms. But underneath that superstition was a deeper fear: the disruption of order. In an all-male environment, the appearance of a woman was seen as a threat to discipline and hierarchy. Curiously, at the same time, ships themselves were treated as feminine. They bore women's names, were referred to as she, and carried nude or bare-breasted female figureheads at the bow, images believed to calm the seas and guide the ship. In short, the idealized woman symbolized protection, while real women were forbidden. Fact 2. Official bans were real, not just superstition. Military and merchant ships had strict rules that barred women from boarding. Captains who allowed wives, lovers, or any female crew could be punished. The official reason? To avoid distractions and maintain discipline. But in truth, the concern was about disobedience, tension, and breakdowns in command. With dozens or even hundreds of men trapped on a ship for months, even a glance or conversation could ignite problems. So the solution was clear: no women, no exceptions. Still, not everyone followed that rule. Fact 3. Some women disguised themselves to sneak aboard. Despite the strict prohibitions, a few determined women managed to sail by pretending to be men. They cut their hair, wore men's clothing, and took on new identities. Some remained undetected for weeks, months, or even years. The most famous case is that of Jeanne Baret, an 18th-century French botanist who joined Bougainville's expedition, becoming the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. She was eventually discovered mid-journey, but was allowed to continue due to her scientific expertise. Jeanne collected hundreds of plant species and was honored later in life for her achievements. And she wasn't alone. Other women boarded ships to follow their husbands, flee from life on land, or simply experience the sea that had always been denied to them. Fact 4. There were pirate women, and they were legendary. Yes, female pirates existed, and they weren't there by accident, but by choice. 2 of the most well-known were Bonny and Mary Read, active in the early 18th century. They dressed as men, carried weapons, led crews, and fought just as fiercely as their male counterparts. Both sailed with the infamous pirate Calico Jack, and according to records, were among the most fearsome aboard. To survive in such a brutal world, they needed more than bravery. They needed clever disguises, sharp minds, and swords always within reach. Anne and Mary remain among the most iconic figures in the entire history of piracy. Fact 5. Women of the ports and brothels. Though banned from sailing, women were not absent from the maritime world, far from it. They played a significant role in the busy life of port cities, which were bustling hubs filled with sailors, merchants, and pirates. There, it was common to find tavern keepers, courtesans, and prostitutes who were vital to the maritime economy and culture. These women didn't just offer services. Many formed lasting relationships with sailors and captains, becoming companions, informants, and trusted allies. They lived on the edge of respectability, but were deeply integrated into the seafaring lifestyle, emotionally, financially, and socially. The brothels found in port towns were far more than just places of pleasure. They often served as informal hubs for meetings, negotiations, and even covert intelligence gathering. Historical accounts tell of women who hid treasure maps, warned sailors of upcoming ambush, and even played key roles in organizing naval attacks. Some of these women were as knowledgeable about maritime affairs as the sailors themselves. Perhaps. Even more so, it's within this intriguing backdrop that the term greenhorn or first-time sailor may have emerged. It likely referred to young, inexperienced men who arrived at ports for the first time and quickly fell victim to the tricks and temptations of the harbor, especially those involving cunning courtesans and the harsh, gritty reality of dockside life. These newcomers were often easy to deceive because they were unfamiliar not only with the sea, but also with the underworld that thrived alongside it. Ultimately, these women were far more than background figures. They were spies, negotiators, and trusted confidants, and in some cases, just as dangerous and resourceful as the sailors and pirates they served alongside. Despite the official restrictions on women aboard military ships, some were given special permission to travel, particularly during colonization efforts. These women were often wives of high-ranking officers, missionaries, or settlers sent to help populate European colonies, especially during the early stages of Portuguese, Spanish, and French expansion. Many of them traveled in organized groups, accompanied by clergy or guardians, and lived under conditions very different from those of the sailors. These voyages were long, perilous, and physically exhausting. Yet many of these women left behind valuable records, journals, letters, and personal accounts that today offer historians rich insights into everyday life in the Americas, Africa, and Asia under European rule. Even though they weren't on the front lines of battle, they played an active role in the conquest and transformation of the world, carrying with them the values, traditions, and contradictions of their homelands. Not all women faced the sea with swords or disguises. Some did so with pen and paper. Beginning in the 19th century, a number of women began documenting their oceanic journeys, particularly in the colonial territories. One of the most well-known was Maria Graham, a British writer and traveler who explored Brazil in 1821, though she accompanied her husband, a naval officer. Maria's contributions went far beyond her role as a wife. She chronicled the colonial daily life with remarkable attention to detail, describing landscapes, social customs, and even criticizing European attitudes toward native populations. Her perspective was sharp, compassionate, and often uncomfortably honest for the standards of her time. The story of women during the Age of Sail is far richer and more complex than myths, bans, or silence might suggest. They were present, in the shadows, at the ports, aboard the ships. Some left traces in hidden diary pages. Others took the helm in moments history has nearly forgotten. If you enjoyed this voyage through untold maritime stories, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments which of these 7 facts surprised you the most. Thank you for sailing through history with us.